Evening, boys.
Evening, Sally.
Welcome to The Chatting, your local pubcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Kirk.
I'm Mark.
And I'm the other Mark. 3 pints, Sally. And what are you having?
I'll have a Black Russian.
Cheers. I'll fetch him over.
Evening, boys.
Evening.
Evening, Rob.
Evening, Robbo.
How are we?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good weekends?
Yeah, good. All good.
All right.
What are you up to?
Yeah. What about you?
Well, me, I went away for the weekend.
Oh.
Went to a place called Gisborne Park, it's near Skipton, and I think it's near a place called Broughton Hall. Yeah, it's near a place called Broughton Hall, near Skipton. Gisborne Park, it's like one of these places that has lodges with a hot tub.
Hot tub. Nice.
Oh,
Hot
so you
tub.
didn't take the van this time?
No. We went, me and Gemma went with my dad and his wife. So what we do is, at Christmas, instead of giving each other presents now, because we tend to find that we don't spend much time with each other, we actually go, we book something where we're going to go somewhere, and that's our presents to each other, because obviously it costs quite a lot. It means we spend a bit more time together. So it was mine and Gemma's turn this year, and obviously that's where the element of surprise comes in for Christmas. So we decide where we're going, and then we make a card and whatever, try and
make a card?
Yeah, you know, like
you don't buy one?
On these, you know, Moonpig and that sort
I
of
thought
thing.
you're physically getting glitter out and glue. I'm thinking like you're going back to your school days. Exactly, that's what I thought.
A Blue Peter session making something. We
just
do it online, and we make a card up. This is where we're going, and that's a surprise. So they open the card up for Christmas and go, "Oh wow, cool! That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing this year."
Would have been cool if you would have made it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll suggest that going forward, Mark.
Do you know that Moonpig thing? Leonie bought her grandparents an anniversary card of the year off Moonpig, and you come up with like a default name, and she didn't change them. It was something like Maureen and Steve.
The question is, did she give that card to him?
Yeah.
Or did she?
No,
did she? Of course it gets delivered.
So
The biggest question, did they notice?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all over it.
That's hilarious. So we dealt with where we were going, and that was their present. So, albeit we gave it them last Christmas, and we've only just gone now, but that was the date that we could go. You know what that's like. So that's where we've been, and it was brilliant, really nice.
Weather good?
Yeah, a little bit of rain, but other than that, it was really nice. Because have you noticed this weekend's got colder over the weekend?
It's freezing.
Absolutely.
Like Friday when we arrived I'd say it was warm, and by today, Monday,
Arctic.
freezing. Yeah,
Bubbles in the hot tub? Bottle of fizz?
absolutely. But I was drinking beer.
Everybody.
In fact, so my dad, being Scottish, they do.
Your dad that looks like Stanley Tucci?
Yes, they have a thing called half and half, and that's basically where you have a pint and a whiskey, and you drink them at the same time.
Oh.
So you'll have a bit of your pint, a bit of your whiskey, a bit of your pint. So
Otherwise known as alcoholics.
Yes. Yep. So we it was chilled out. We went for a couple of walks. We played games. We watched some films. It was just completely chilled out and relaxed. So
Nice.
I had a great weekend. Anyone else do anything as exciting as that?
Yeah, so I was DJing this weekend. Did an engagement party on Saturday for one of Ellen's colleagues' son and daughter to be.
Go well.
Yeah, it was a good night. Yeah, really good. Yeah, that's sort of it really for my weekend. It's
Kirk?
Yeah, I mean, busy weekend, but with the kids. That's what I do with my weekend. Play taxi, fetching and carrying, dropping people off at football, cheer, friends. They always just want to stay out of the house now.
And how are they? Are they all right?
Yeah, they're good. Listen, they're at that age. So my two eldest now, 14 and 12, girls. Obviously, there's my youngest as well. That's 10,
their age.
and he's a boy. And but yes, my
he's getting gaffered around, is he?
My two eldest, both girls, 14 and 12, and they're just at that age. So they're hardly ever at home. They always want to stay out with their friends or be out, and when they are at home, their heads in phones. That's all they... Well, yeah, I mean, they literally...
Are they on social media all the time? On the Facebook, TikTok, all that?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's loads of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
Loads.
and it's scary as that. I mean, if you watch like a 14 or 12-year-old on the phone, the speed that they're
They're
flicking.
typing.
Well, not just typing, the speed that they flick
Flicking.
between apps.
Yeah.
So Snapchat, TikTok, well, I'd say Facebook, but
Facebook's for old people.
probably
That's
a bit
more
older
our
now.
age, isn't it?
Absolutely, but literally the way they just flip through apps and stuff like that is just crazy.
It's like patience is not a virtue. If
Everything's
that's
instant.
Right, to say.
I think that's right, yeah.
Everything's instant. But you see, the thing is what's so scary is it's like a drug, and this is what's worrying about social media in general. That we have to set screen times and stuff like that on the kids' phones.
Yeah.
And it's not to be mean. It's not to be a mean parent. I don't mind that they're on screens. I'm a big believer that it's the way of the world now. I don't think we should just be like, oh, you should get out playing football like I used to. Times are different.
You play football, Kurt.
Well,
when were this?
Not very well.
not very well.
Phil, what century were this then?
Not at all. But it's the way that you, so like for instance, set screen times for the kids. We set them for 9:30 at night. As far as I'm concerned, that's late enough. They should be, going to sleep, school
Absolutely.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's never enough. It's never enough. And like my phone will ping. Can I have extra time for this? Can I have extra time for that? Can you switch screen time off for this? And I'm trying to explain to them that, but when you explain to them no, it's literally like you're removing their lifeline.
Yeah, it's like an addiction.
And it's it's scary. Right. I mean, what?
Are they like looking at other people's, or is it posting their own material that they tend to do? Do you think? I mean, TikTok, that's just a blur. I mean, I've only been on there recently, and it's just literally, it's just a blur, and you're 20 minutes.
Funnily enough, this weekend I can't remember what I was explaining to my dad, but it was about social media in general, and I was talking about TikTok, and he literally had no clue what TikTok was. He'd heard of it, but
Really?
no idea what it was.
No idea at all?
No. So I opened it up. Bear in mind, I'm not someone that goes on it very often either. So I've not really got a history or anything. Doesn't know what I like because I don't go on it enough. And I opened it up, and just, my dad's religious, and I flicked the first few videos.
Oh.
Effing and blinding.
He's not
Even
really happy
the
with
C
that.
word. I was like, oh, my dad just looked at me, and I'm thinking, this is not.
Did he blame you for the swear?
Yeah, and I'm thinking.
So it puts in front of you, Rob, what you normally watch. I mean, the algorithm normally searches what you normally watch.
That's what I'm saying. I've hardly ever been on it, so I'm like, why would it think that I'd be okay with this language, with this content? And I'm thinking, surely, I'm thinking in my head, this is not a fair representation of what TikTok is. But then I think, or is it? Because I don't go on it, so I don't really know. But if kids can just go on TikTok and instantly they can be introduced to that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and I'm thinking, I'm meant to be selling this to my dad. Oh yeah, it's quite fun, you just flick through content.
Quite fun.
No aim, just flick through. It's just meant to be entertaining.
I was presented with an advert for overpriced toilet rolls from somebody, and I don't know what that were all about. She's effing and jeffing in middle of Tesco or Asda or wherever she were.
Well, you see, I that's one thing I do know about, but not through TikTok, and that's
What,
just
toilet rolls?
I definitely know about toilet rolls, but that's just
all
a
about
whole
the 3-ply.
That's the sales ploy, isn't it? That's like these people. Have you noticed at the bottom of it, there's a little button that allows you to click it, and it takes you to a shop.
Affiliate marketing.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
I think it's more like drop shipping sort of thing, where you click it, that shop is their shop. And that what they're doing there was a pure advert. Although it looks like it's just someone complaining about toilet rolls, what they're saying is, are you in the same situation as me and you can't get toilet rolls for a certain price? Well, I've found a place where you can. I've put the link on here, so click that and off you go. And you look at how many people are watching these videos.
Well, by all accounts, that one finished and it flicked straight to a bloke who were like a train spotter. And he'd got this, whatever this filter or this lens that he were using, and his face were all distorted.
That's got to be Francis.
That's got to be Francis.
That was
What a legend.
It was hilarious by all accounts. Train spotting is like the dullest thing you could possibly think of.
But he is excited
funny,
beyond excitement, right?
And he was so excited that 2 trains were going to cross, and then another one came, and he were like, I thought his head were going to blow off.
But this is the thing when we talk about social media, that it has its positives. So it can be fun, it's entertaining, but where does it get to a point
There's no result, is
where
there,
it's
for me?
dangerous?
Yeah.
Where does it get to a point?
Well, it's already dangerous to some degree, isn't it?
Do your girls sort of do like all the filtering stuff to make themselves look like, I don't know, older or...
Absolutely. The filters that are there, But I think the most dangerous thing for me when it comes to kids is how it influences the way that they think.
Yeah.
It's a direct.
Yeah.
You know, I watch them at 14 and 12 years old. You know, you talk about what they believe is real, or what they believe is the right thing to be, or how to be, or how to look.
Yeah.
And I know that's very general. People say, oh, you know, but it does worry me. And you
There's
said
no
earlier,
escape either, is there? Because it's just at home and it's at school with you and it's wherever you're in the car.
it's just constant.
Yeah.
It's just constant. And the thing is, you said earlier, Mark, about
Me.
well, other Mark, do they post? Do they? Actually, the biggest thing that they use social media for now, from what I can see, is communication. It's how they communicate. You know, and the biggest issue with that is it's open to so many strangers, random people.
And it's these people that really know how to exploit it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think with kids today, they get a lot of their information, or misinformation, if you want to say it, is from social media, as opposed to teachers and stuff. So so yes, they're getting educated.
And they believe it, don't they?
Absolutely
and
do.
It's all sorts of drivel on there.
Yeah. I think
Works
they're more
out.
inclined to listen to believe social media than they are teachers.
And it's how factually accurate that information is. Like, there might be a story that was historically correct, but just not accurate by the actual events that happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I can say that I've got no kids, and I can see, I'm not addicted to social media. I'm saying that, maybe I am, but it's difficult when you go on there and look at something and then you come off it. There's like a drive to want to go back and continue looking. It's not just
Not
it's,
for me, but
really.
no.
I mean, that's not. It won't be for everyone, but I find myself. Maybe I have got an addictive personality, but you do find yourself. You want more, and then you want more, and again, they're so good at targeting. It's all this. What do they call it? It's some marketing. What was that?
Targeted marketing?
Yes, the fact that they're taking what you're looking at and going, right, they keep looking at that, I'm going to give them more of that.
Algorithms.
And
You've
you
only
just
got to click on one thing, haven't you, on Google, and then the next thing is
Yeah.
on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, I'm noticing that all the time now.
even more scary that you just have to talk about it.
Yes.
Are you talking about Alexas and things like that?
Yeah,
or-
but even your phone. Even
Yeah,
your
they
phone.
Well, okay.
Absolutely. I was at a friend's house a few weekends ago. We was talking about a trip going away, and talking about a trip to Florida. And literally, as we were still sat round the table, I opened my phone, opened Facebook, and the first thing that came up was an advert, trip to Orlando.
Yeah.
And you think that's because your phone was listening to you?
100%.
Really?
1,000,000%.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What and it's not just that. I mean, I'll be open and just say, if I don't know how many conversations I've had about podcasts, right? And yes, this morning a microphone comes on, the perfect podcast microphone. Mm-hmm. Why would it think? How? I've not actually. I don't think I've typed anything on my phone. But here's the other thing that I also thought about. Your phone is linked, be it through Google, a Google account, whatever. So if you're
everything.
if you're on your home computer or an iPad and you're typing in something through Google on that platform, that's linked to the same thing that you logged on your phone. So it's going to show you that on your device, whatever device you're on. So you don't have to necessarily, it might not just be listening through the phone. It could be that you've typed it in on Google on a different computer, but it'll show it you on your phone.
Yeah, I get when you're searching for stuff on Google, it'll pop up on Amazon. I completely that, but I didn't realise that it's your phones are listening to you. I mean,
Absolutely.
What if you disconnect it from internet? Then what happens? I mean, what?
Well, listen, you can
how
take.
does it?
you
How
can
does it?
take-
How does that work? Generally, how does that work?
Yeah, end of the day, you can take whatever precautions you want, and that actually does. That actually, it's a thought process that I have had that I'd love to open it up to you guys.
What, your phone?
especially never.
I don't want to look at your phone.
No, you don't.
I'll have a little look.
Over to you, Mark. I think because I
Me?
think other Mark, because I think you'll have a strong opinion on this. Do you think it should be? Do you think we should be trying to regulate more social media? Do you think we should be trying to move away from it? Do you think is that something that you think we should be controlling?
After Mark's finished,
Well, there's been loads of court cases, hasn't there, that, social media, Facebook in particular, for not doing enough to protect vulnerable people. They're accessing websites and posts and people that, spew absolute vile stuff, or, promoting things like suicide, and to people that are already in a position where they're not very mentally well. And I think there definitely has to be some responsibility over content to some extent. It's difficult because we live in a world of free speech, and we take that for granted, I think. But there's also the limits that people take it to and exploit that, look for vulnerable people and take advantage. So I think it's a very tricky one, because how can you have free speech if you then start to control free speech? Then you've not got free speech anymore, have you?
Good point, Mark. I mean, I've got strong thoughts about this. Mark's absolutely right. I'm all for free speech. I'm more so. I think we're getting to a point where free speech. I can't even say it.
Easy for you to say.
Another pint, Mark.
Where's satellite when you need a pint? We live in this world of free speech, but I think free. I still can't say it.
The irony, the absolute irony.
We live in this. I'll say it again. We live in this world of free speech, and I think we're getting to a point where it's getting restricted, even more nowadays. But going back to Mark's point, is you've got like BBC, ITV, all the main channels. You've got newspapers, very restricted. You've got guidelines. They've got to stick to certain things. We'll not go into all those details, but they've got guidelines set. Yet the internet, it's a wild west. They can do literally what they want. People can say what they want. I just don't
show what they want.
I show what they want. Like you were talking earlier about TikTok. You were talking about.
Yeah.
Open your TikTok. People swearing on it, saying what they want. Again, there's a fine line from again. I can't say it, from free speech. I'm a firm believer in it, but there's got to be some sort of regulation to some degree. Because, like I said, you can't just go on BBC and say what you want, or ITV. You can't advertise what you want on. Their adverts are regulated. Yeah, social media, it's a complete free for all.
Just to play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
What about the good that it does, though? In terms of, let's say someone is suffering with their mental health, and someone has made content about how they have dealt with their mental health and are opening to talk about that, and because social media has such an outreach, they're able to get that word out to so many people that may have never heard someone else talk so openly and candid about their problems, that help other people realise, I'm not alone. So I do think that, there's obviously a huge downside to this, but I also think that there is a good element to it. So I think it's easy for us to say that it's not
I've
it's all
seen
bad.
recently a few posts, and I don't know if it's because there are local clubs around this area, and it's something called Andy's Man Club.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Seen that, yeah.
And it's all about, and I think it's done in memory of somebody who took their life, and they've absolutely they open like walking sessions, if you like, in different venues, and people can go along. Us, for example, could go, if you're struggling, go. You can sit, air your concerns, talk, or even just listen, and know that you're in an environment with other people that are probably in similar situations or have been in similar situations, and effectively put an arm around each other and say, look, do you know what? It's all right. Absolutely. It's going to be all right.
Absolutely.
I think the key to it all, you're both right, Mark and Rob, and you, Kurt, but I think the key is regulation. It's just that the social media is not regulated in any way.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a big lover of regulation, but but going back to my point with the mainstream TVs and newspapers, they're regulated. They just can't. Okay, I know papers lie from time to time, but then they'll get sued for it. But you generally, you can I know you could get sued for saying something on social media, but what's the chance of you getting sued? It's regulation. I think that's the key.
And absolutely, and I think this is what I was kind of getting at, that when you take one hand of people being able to post whatever they want, say whatever they want, share whatever they want, and then marry it with a generation that's where they get all their information from.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Your tinfoil hatters, for example.
Absolutely. See, I was scrolling through TikTok the other day. and as you do, death scrolling, I think they call it. Sound old now,
Death
don't
scrolling? What?
I? Death scrolling, yeah.
Never heard of it. What's it mean?
Just when I believe, correct me if I'm
doom
wrong.
Scrolling.
I know what scrolling is.
Doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Doom scrolling.
Sounds less
that's it.
sinister.
Just about. Depends what you're looking at, I suppose.
What's the doom
scrolling. So
what's
basically,
the doom bit, though?
it was something that was created. A designer created the ability that it was an endless thing. So when you scroll up, whether it be on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, it's endless. So beforehand, you used to scroll to a certain point and it'd stop and it'd have to it'd load.
Just call it
You're
endless
effectively
scrolling.
scrolling to your grave.
Yeah. So doom scrolling, I think it is. But I was scrolling through as you do, and all of a sudden there was a live TikTok, is that what it's called? TikTok Live on there, and I clicked on it, and it was a flat earther.
Oh, here we go.
Flat Earth.
Yeah.
What's that?
What?
You don't know what a flat earther is, Rob?
I might do. I don't know.
It's somebody that truly, genuinely, honestly believes that the Earth is flat.
Oh, sorry.
Mark
Yeah,
does.
no, I
Don't
do.
you?
I do.
No.
But the thing is,
I can see the horizon.
I thought to myself, I'm gonna sit and watch this for a bit because I want to try and I'm always wanted to try and understand these people, and I watched it for a little while, and I mean, but this is the thing. I'm watching these things, and this person is showing graphics on the screen that is created.
PowerPoint presentation.
They've done some real research
He's
into justifying their own belief system, haven't they?
Yeah,
It's
talking
incredible.
long words, using long words and stuff like that. And again, I believe that I'm intelligent enough to sit there and go, okay, I'm listening to you. You're not convincing me.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
You're 50-year-old and you're living in a spare room in your mum's house.
They'll not be happy with that, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm worried
Have
about is the fact that what's my 10-year-old
Yeah.
gonna think?
Yeah.
This is where everyone screams and says, well, he's a 10, he shouldn't be on TikTok. We're talking real world now.
Yeah.
But it's there in front of you, and it's thrown down your face, and we all understand at our age what conspiracy theories are.
I was just about to say, and that's this flat Earth thing. I know what it is now. I just didn't realise that's what they were called. It's not.
Is
just,
what it says on the tin.
Yeah. All right. It's conspiracy theorists in general that's worrying.
Yeah.
Or in this instance, that when kids are watching it and then they're going, oh, what's this?
Their argument or their line for everything is, well, that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you're asleep.
That's the authority.
Yes, you're asleep.
You're asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wake up. What?
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
absolutely. Well, so is while we're talking about conspiracy theories, then here's an open thing to you all.
Yeah.
Are there any conspiracy theories that you give an element of thought to? Is there any that you've looked at?
I'd say there's definitely ones in the past that has made me question it, but then with a little bit of research, opening my mind up a little bit more and going, no.
I've got one. I'm still 50-50 about it, and that's the moon landings.
Oh.
Right.
Because, I mean,
Michael Stipe over there.
well, I don't know. I've watched documentaries on it, and even to this day, I still think to myself, hang on a minute, did we go to the moon? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but have we been back to the moon since?
No.
And when did we first go? It went 70s, weren't it?
Yeah,
69.
69.
Yeah.
69. So we went in 69. Technology then must have been appalling.
Been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
They streamed,
So,
they streamed it on TikTok Live.
Well, then kids are going to believe it.
Is it like 54 years ago? 55 years, something
This
like
is
that.
54.
this is the thing. The technology back then must have been like non-existent. Technology now is far better, and we haven't been back. Why haven't we been back?
Yeah.
There were nothing there to see.
And-
Some dints.
And then there's all the other things like the flag, we're blowing in wind. Well, there's no wind, and just little things like that,
Yeah, and who
the shadows.
I can't remember what I was reading or listening to the other day that was talking about that landings, and it was someone posed a question: do you know what the budget was to get a man on the moon? America's budget.
I don't, but I've got another question, so I'll leave that for after. But no, I don't know what the budget was.
Does anyone know what the budget was?
No.
It's going to be ridiculous. Don't say something like 100 quid.
No,
because it'd have been in dollars.
Oh, yeah. I'll get my coat. Tell us, Rob.
Unlimited. There was no budget. They said there's no budget.
Whatever the cost.
Whatever the cost.
Wow.
We need to get someone on the moon.
Was this because they were trying to get to the moon before the Russians?
They wanted to be. Yeah, they wanted to be the first
but
on
the
the
Russians
moon.
didn't get there anyway, did
And
they?
there was no budget.
What about you, Mark?
Well, there's one it's not so much a conspiracy theory, so to speak, although some people are taking it to a real extreme at the minute on X, formerly known as Twitter, that they keep referencing.
Glad you added that in.
Yeah. And it's the side effects for the COVID jab. And I don't know, and I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, I'm not saying, oh, yeah, they're covering this up and they're covering that up. And there are people out there that are absolutely throwing it everywhere that, oh, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies are making billions and they don't care, they're chucking this out and people are dying. But it does raise a little bit of a concern that I think, what if it is true? And, you see on the news and there's young people that are, they effectively just dropping dead, for want of a better term. They no previous health problems, or they're saying, somebody died, they had a blood clot, and you start to worry. And you think, what if there is something in there that, if when those roads cross, if you like, those paths cross, and that something could happen, and you could, effectively be.
But do you? I know you said that you didn't really clarify whether you believed it or not. It's just something that plays on your mind. But when you're thinking about it, is that a case of you think that there's a possibility they knew about more serious side effects and chose to ignore them for the greater good, or that these things are coming to light?
Absolutely,
now.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anything like a cover-up or anything that they're just throwing stuff around that's knowingly dangerous. I think there's just that little bit of concern when you look back in time, and there were certain, there have been times where people have had immunisations, for example, and then in 20 or 30 years they've tried to give birth or whatever, and they've ended up with children that have had problems and
defects.
And you could call it that, but you saw is there something to come? And I think it's probably going back to what we started on, in that people are spewing this stuff on social media, and you only have to chuck so much stuff, and some of it starts sticking eventually, and then it gains traction because more and more people follow on, and then I don't know, you get up one morning, you have a bit of a niggle, and you think, oh crikey, what if, I'd like to think not, but I don't think I'd have another one. I don't think I'd have another jab.
I would.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would. I don't.
But for me, I definitely did think about it. Obviously, heard the theories, but you just think the economic downfall. What would it have? What purpose would it have served? I'm 100% out on that one.
Out on what?
Sorry.
I feel as though you just strung some words together there, Rob. You didn't have a clue what you were saying.
Out on the fact that COVID wasn't real.
Oh no, I'm not for one second. I'm not for 1 second suggesting that it wasn't real. I had it, and I had it really bad, really bad. And I've never felt anything like it. It was awful. My thing is just the arguments at the moment that there's these jabs flying around that, granted they had everybody in the world working on them to try and turn them around as quickly as possible, but they've not got that longevity in terms of results and
they're getting a Nobel Prize, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah, the people that come up with the vaccination and getting a Nobel Prize.
It is interesting though with this COVID thing. I mean, they found I'm going to say solution. It's not a solution. What do you call it?
Washing up liquid?
No, they found
bleach.
Come on, guys, help me out.
An antibody.
Free speech.
Easy for you to say.
No, come on.
Antibody.
They found no, is it called an antibody? No, they found a jab. I don't know what I'm saying, but they found it for COVID, whatever that word is. But like cancer and loads of other diseases, they're struggling to find not a solution. It's not
cure?
A cure. Well, not maybe. Well, it could be a cure. They've not got cures for all these different diseases. They've been at it for years. Yet COVID, miraculously they found one quite quickly.
I think it's
I find that a little bit strange.
With some of the more complex health cases, such as cancer, it's because the way that it evolves, and it can start off in different parts of your body, and it can attack you in different ways, can't it? And so it's trying to get something that, I think they're getting better at treating because they can they're almost playing catch up all the time, aren't they, with something? And I suspect that's probably the situation with COVID to some extent. They brought a jab out that was right, this will stop you getting this particular strain, and if it does evolve, then you may have to have another one. And it's not so much that, it's I think.
So you started this, Kirk. What have you got any theory that you are still clinging to, or?
No.
Oh, after all that.
Perfect.
So you're what they call a sheep.
I'm a sheep. I'm asleep. Apparently, I'm one of them weird people that likes to
believe everything,
believe in science and experts and facts.
Yeah.
They are what they are. Don't get me wrong. I was trying to be humorous by just giving a flat no. But fundamentally, are the things that make you think sometimes, are the things that make you go, oh, what's that? And one thing I am a big believer in is don't have an opinion on something until you've at least looked at something.
Yeah.
Or you've at least tried to do some research, whatever you can, at least try and have an informed decision. And as you all know, I tend to do that quite a lot. So every time I've thought about something that's a conspiracy theory, I've gone and done my own research and gone, well, what a load of rubbish.
Good point, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Because you go and research these things and you've got people, what we're talking about, on the internet going, this is real. And you go, well, it must be real then.
Yeah.
So that's your research.
That's the full extent of their research, isn't it?
Yeah, but if
Dave
said,
on Twitter, X, says that COVID was a hoax, therefore that'll do for me.
Yeah.
But as you said earlier, Mark, if people are spewing this, it's more and more people spew it. It's not just looking at Dave who's saying who's down the pub saying it's real. You research it on the internet and you've got hundreds of people saying it. So you think, well, particularly again, younger people are thinking, well, if 100 people are saying it, then it must be true.
And when you
so although people research it, research internet.
You've got some famous people that are also saying it. Then it seems to have a little bit more collateral, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're not. Like you said, people aren't going into libraries anymore and picking up the Britannica and.
What's the library?
Absolutely.
I'm old, but the young people will be saying that.
So when we were talking about COVID and things like that, obviously, what a strange time. We may as well discuss it while you've brought it up. What a strange time.
Very strange, weird.
I mean, looking back now, and we think about lockdown and stuff like that.
Can so COVID made me realise something that I don't think I'd ever thought I'd get to grips with, and that it's related to a really, I don't know what the word is, but when people used to say to you when you talk to someone about that's like your grandparents or whatever, they might have lived through the war, and you'd speak to them about what was it like being in the war. You could speak to one person and their experience, they might have been in the war, they might have been in the armed forces, and their experience of it would have been horrific. And some of the things they'd seen, what they'd gone through and survived. But then you speak to someone else who lived in the UK, but nowhere near where the bombings were taking place, and were probably, although they would have been affected by it, by some way, shape or form, it was nowhere near as bad as what the other person had gone through.
Living in the Blitz, for example, in London or whatever.
Yeah. And it was just to say that, oh my gosh, can you imagine living through the war and what that would have been like? Well, one person would have been like, yeah, it wasn't a nice time. The other person's saying it was horrific. And that's how I feel about COVID, in that everybody's got a different story of how it affected them.
Don't you think that, looking back, like lockdown, for example, sometimes you look back and you think, was it even real? Because it almost seems like a different life now that it was even a thing. Even though it was,
ago, yeah.
And I know it was, because we were all, obviously, we all did different things and whatever. And but the fact that it was like, we were all effectively bound to our homes, and you couldn't go out unless you were going for bread and flour or spaghetti, toilet roll.
Not that you could find it.
In abundance. But yeah, and...
Where was that woman on TikTok then?
I was just about to say exactly the same.
And I remember going to Morrison's, and you were queuing round the car park.
Yeah.
And you could only let so many people in at once, and then the staff were coming out, and they were fantastic. Actually,
2 metre distance between.
They were coming out with like a tray of biscuits and like giving biscuits to people in queues and whatever. And they were like, "This is just unbelievable."
Well, throwing at them from 2 metres.
Yeah. You're like going to the supermarket, and you were there for 2 hours.
was I the only one that fully worked through COVID, as in actually going to a place of work, or did you?
No, I think you all were.
I had 7 weeks off fully paid, which were
I
got,
see. So you weren't work.
I got paid to do my drive.
Right.
That's what I did.
Did you, Kirk?
I worked all the way through it. In fact, I took on more responsibility, worked probably longer and harder than I have done in many, many, many years, and got rewarded with a pay cut for it. Wow. So my going back to what you were saying before, Rob, about everybody. I once remember I saw a quote, probably on social media, of that we're all in the same storm, but we're all in very different boats.
Yeah.
So when people say, you know, oh, we're all in the same
quote.
boat. No, we're not. We're all in the same storm, but very different boats. And when I talk to people about lockdown and stuff like that, and hear stories about how people have learned to play the piano, or you know, they started learning a foreign language, or they were baking bread, or whatever. And that's, for me, the memory of my lockdown, for the want of a better term, was going out to work and working harder than I probably ever have done in my, maybe not in my entire life, but very much so, but with the compounded worry and stress of it being a very strange world, not really understanding it at the beginning, and then factored in also because my kids live with their mum, and I have my kids at the weekend, and obviously they were in, let's say, proper lockdown.
The bubbles.
The bubbles and stuff like that. We decided that because I was going out to work, therefore I was mixing with guests and customers and things like that, that the safer option was for me not to see my kids.
Wow.
So I didn't see my kids for 14 weeks.
Wow.
Physically.
Yeah.
You know, yes, FaceTime and stuff like that, but I didn't see my kids for 14 weeks. And that was all because I carried on working.
You must have been really busy, Rob, because, I mean, where you work literally went from strength to strength, didn't it? Because everybody was on first name terms with the Amazon man.
Absolutely. I mean, I was about to say, for me, it wasn't as, I wouldn't say I worked harder than I'd ever had to work before, but I was certainly working more hours than I'd worked previously. I'm not going to, there was a period where I worked loads, but the fact that we were working overtime, we were constantly on overtime. It was there if we needed it, or if we wanted it, we could take it. There was nothing else to do anyway, so why wouldn't you do it? Because ultimately you were the business that was getting supplies, getting things to people that they needed, and obviously we as a company, they were also supplying, I think they were supplying medical things to, you know, they weren't just being a provider to people that needed lawnmowers and swimming pools and you know,
toilet rolls.
I'll tell you what, we needed swimming pools because they were absolutely unbelievable, wasn't
summer,
it?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it had rained all through that? That would have been really, really depressing.
I remember I bought a swimming pool, and because I wanted to get me exercise in, I'd got like a belt around my waist to put a bungee cord onto the fence, and I was doing lengths in the little swimming pool.
Really?
Yeah, tiny little pool. If I put my arms out wide to do a full stroke,
In
I'd
a
be touching
paddling
the
pool?
side.
Could
In
you-
a paddling
could you
pool,
touch
yeah.
the bottom?
I could, but I got a technique that meant that I didn't. But yeah, and do you know what? As well, it's easy to think about the things that were bad about COVID, but actually there were some things that I found. I don't see my family anywhere near as much as I should do, and I found we were making more of an effort. Because you couldn't see them in person, therefore you felt like, you know, we'll arrange group calls and stuff. There was all those
games, but
there was games that came out that you could download from certain websites, and you could literally have group games over the TV over the internet. And we were doing that not almost every weekend. Now I don't meet with my family and have games nights every weekend, but then we were, and almost like you felt like you could actually get closer to your family, not physically, but just by being in the presence through the internet and whatnot. So I do think that not every bit of it was actually horrendous. You know, there were some parts of it that you go, do you know what? I remember that quite fondly, that I spent that time doing that.
But what about you, Mark? Because obviously you, Mark.
Oh.
You're the only one around the table that was self-employed.
Yeah, I think I am. Well, strangely, everyone around me continued working. So you were working, Kirk, you were working, Rob. I thought you were working still, Mark, but clearly you weren't. My wife was still working. And then, of course, your wives were working still.
Yeah.
And there was only me that weren't working.
Actually, my wife wasn't working.
Oh.
She's a dentist, so
I thought she
never
was.
stopped.
Did she stop?
No, she worked for a
Short
portion
period.
of it, yeah. And then it stopped for a while.
So to say we were in a lockdown, the vast majority of everybody around me was still working for various reasons. But my industry were completely destroyed, and I'm still feeling the effects of it even now. So it's not great. Not great. It wasn't great, and it's not great now.
And it's still affecting you now.
Yeah. Well, not me personally, but it's affecting my business. That's what I mean.
And how's it affecting you?
Well, I think it's a combination of other things, obviously added in, cost of living and what have you. But it's the industry itself is that because of what I do, the hospitality business, the entertainment business, people have just not returned back into that world of partying as such on that level. And again, the cost of living's playing a part in this. And I think because people was just completely out of the partying for almost how long were we in lockdown for? On and off, quite a while.
It's got to have been 12 weeks, hasn't it?
I think you were
Something like
between
that?
12 and 16. I think it was 12 weeks, and then
Well,
and
there
then
was there was two, weren't
together.
there?
yeah.
Because even when we came out in that summer, you know, the eat out to help out.
You were
going to say dine out, weren't you?
Eat out.
No, I'm just eating. You're dining.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
posh, isn't he?
Yeah, he's okay.
He's tequila sunrise.
You know, I'm just signing at McDonald's. He's sort of lavish up in Ritz or something. But even in that period, my industry, we didn't go back. We weren't doing parties. We were doing nothing. Everything was completely closed. So from when we closed down in, when was it? March of 2020. It was closed down till when we came out. When did we come out of it? 20.
June.
No, I mean completely. As in that when the theatres and nightclubs started reopening, that was sort of for another year and a half later.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, when it were fully open.
Fully
and stuff.
open.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I'm saying. It's
We dipped in and out, didn't we? If you remember, we went back into it at Christmas, I think.
Then out a bit, and then back in. I
Yeah.
reckon overall, if you were to look at restrictions, let's talk about restrictions, because the restrictions on numbers and numbers of people that could get together and stuff like that, I reckon it impacted for about 18 months in total.
Oh, easily.
yeah, absolutely. I didn't do any work for all that period of time. And even like I said, because people got used to the not sort of partying and going to parties for so long, for a year and a half, they're in a position now where because of the cost of living as well, it's like, well, why have a party? Why go and
People
know,
were
just
finding
do it
ways
at
of
home.
entertaining
they
themselves.
found other
weren't they?
ways. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's, that's
Or
that's
like you
what's
say,
happened.
when they are doing, they're also then factoring in the cost
Yeah,
of things, and a lot of hospitality places like hotels and stuff like that, the costs have gone through the roof, so that therefore the prices have gone through the roof.
Tell you what we did round here, which was a great laugh, and I know we were limited, and there were just people stood in their own front gardens and stuff, but we were having street parties. People were getting absolutely leathered on their own front gardens, and they were just like, do you know, everyone's locked up, but you're sort of locked up, but you're not. Everyone's outside, but not next to each other, and we even had the police. They came round and they were dancing down middle of the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Hammered, they were absolutely hammered.
For a change, but no, really, because obviously they must have heard the music or whatever, and so they
investigate.
pulled up at the top, and we were like, uh-oh, and they just came down. They were sort of walking that middle of the street, waving to everybody.
They walked. They didn't drive.
No, and we ended up in local rag, and we'd been praised for the way that we'd gone around doing something, because people were so well, sort of obviously everyone maintained distances. They're in their own front gardens or on their own driveways, but having a good time collectively apart. And
In fact, weren't you DJing?
Yeah,
in your front garden?
I vaguely remember it to some extent.
Vaguely, we were drunk.
Yeah, we were.
Along with PC Plod.
Yeah, we were getting essential supplies.
Yeah, there were always plenty of alcohol.
I'll
Weren't
tell
there?
you
No,
what,
Bob,
there must have been
alcohol.
there were more alcoholics came out of COVID than what went into it.
You went in as alcoholic and came out still as an alcoholic.
Absolutely raging.
Down at the bar, please.
And on that note,
Absolutely, I think it's time, that boys.
Yeah, being a good one
it's been a pleasure.
as always.
Same time next week.
Absolutely, see you there.
Be there, be square.
Why not?
See you later.
Bye.
Do you have a dilemma? Maybe a burning question you're longing to be answered? Who are you going to call? Well, no one, but just drop us a voice note or a message over email at innthechat@gmail.com. That's 2 N's, not 1 N, because 1 N would... It doesn't matter. Innthechat@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.